Meeting is Monday, August 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. Tonight we are here to discuss the 2027 City of Dodge City budget.
Okay. Mayor, Commissioners, I have provided you with a packet of information. This is the same information that I sent out to you last week. What's included here is just the tax levy funds. So that's what we will concentrate on for tonight. And I know we went over this when we did our revenue neutral rate hearing a few weeks ago. Our revenue neutral rate is 34.984 mils. Our prior year mill levy was 35.611 mils. And the mill levy that is being proposed for 2027 is 35.667 mils. So that is 0.683 mils above the revenue neutral rate and 0.056 mils greater than the prior year. So as far as the revenues, we've kept a majority of the revenues pretty flat. We kept sales tax flat, franchise tax, so pretty much all the revenues we kept flat, unless like the airport fees, golf course fees, those items, I did increase those a little bit if the actuals from last year were greater than what we budgeted for 26. So and then we did adjust some of the transfers a little bit from the utility funds, and then the transfer from the new sales tax, part of that was to go to reducing the mill levy. So that transfer is included in with the transfers. So is there anything you want to add as far as revenues?
No, I think what you're going to see is pretty much we try to keep everything relatively flat, given the current economic situation, and just not really relying upon any significant increases anywhere. So I think we're just trying to be extra cautious in regards to where we'll end up being and where we may be 18 months from now, which you all understand that it's difficult for us to really determine and look in that crystal ball of where we potentially will be that far in advance. But we're trying to do what we can and just trying to keep it as flat as possible.
So on the first page, the total on the mill levy is 36.223. Is that an actual number where we came in at?
Yes, for 2025,
Yeah,
yes,
for
it was
2025.
36.223, and for 2025, and then also for 26, it was at 35.611 is where we ended up. One of the things that we discussed at the last meeting or with the R&R hearing is we typically pass a little bit higher in regards to what the mill levy is, or flat from what it was last year, with anticipation knowing it's going to come in lower when it ultimately is verified through the county clerk. The 35.667 is actually less than what we had submitted for our R&R rate last year. but it is lower than where we're at now. One thing that we don't have on here that will affect our valuations, or which is at 234,328,000, is we had Summer Lawn South is coming off of RHID, so those revenues are actually going to increase that assessed valuation number, which will then ultimately lower the mill levy naturally, just because of that increase in assessed valuation number that we'll see. But at the time that this was actually, the values were given to us by the county clerk, they did not realize that those were coming off for 2027 and that they were paid off.
Yeah, we don't receive our final valuation till usually, well, the final valuation and the final mill levy, usually until the end of October, so. As far as the expenditures for the general fund, I'm just gonna kind of hit on where some of the bigger changes were, or if there were changes. So, as far as the city commission, contractual was increased about $3,000. Some of that was an increase in travel, and then a couple of the other accounts there was small increases, and those are just due to mainly just general increases in cost. So there were really no changes in the depot train station. In administration, there are two positions that were not included in the budget for 2027 that were in there for 2025 and 2026. And one of those is a human resources specialist, and the other one is the community outreach coordinator. So those two positions are not in the budget for 2027. And then there was an increase in commodities of 7,500, and that's just kind of a general increase in price increases in costs for items. Information systems, there was an increase in salaries. A majority of the increases in salaries in the budget are due to the merit and COLA raises that were included. And the merit and COLA raises that are included in each department, there's a 2.7% COLA, and then we figured an average of 3% for merit. So those are the raises that were included. And then IT, as far as commodities, there was an additional $5,000 that was requested to allow all IT staff to be able to attend conferences and trainings, so.
Yeah, with the introduction of AI, I've kind of tasked them to start looking into how we can implement AI to offset some of our positions and some of our workload to better, to make us more efficient overall. So I have tasked them to take a look at that, even if it comes as simple as utilize an AI software to review camera footage in regards to security concerns that we have with our buildings and with accidents that may happen. We've had several requests in the last year or two for traffic accidents that have occurred in our parking lots, and just simple little things like that. And it does take time for us to review those, because typically they don't know exactly when it happened, and it may be in a 2 or 3 day period that their car was damaged or the damage occurred. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of staff time to look at it. So those are some of the examples that we're wanting them to look at. Same with like invoicing and looking at payables. If there's any way for us to automate and assist us in those ways, we're going to try to take benefit of that.
And also, like, on the utility billing side, pulling out those accounts that maybe were a misread, you know, have an extremely high usage or zero usage, so that's another way that we would be able to use it, so. Economic development, so the only thing we have for economic development is, we do pay their salaries, and that is capped at $400,000 currently.
Yeah, so they reimburse us for the remaining. So we are responsible for their salaries and benefits, but we do cap our contribution to that 400,000 cap. But we do budget for all their expenses in regards to their salary and benefits.
Police department, they are the largest department as far as personnel. So their increase is due to the merit, the COLA, and longevity bonuses. We did not fully budget for 3 positions in that department, so just to try to cut back on costs and such. So there are 3 positions that are not budgeted for in that department.
Where are they in total officers?
I think right now they're down 6 or 7
6 or 7 is the
officers
last I
is where
remember.
they're down.
So they still could get 3 more
Yeah, they
within this
could.
budget.
Yeah, and what I've tasked the police chief is, if we do have a good candidate, continue hiring. If we do have a candidate that meets all of our qualifications, is good, we'll figure out how to fund that individual, because we have so much turnover. We typically lose a couple officers a year, so having one budgeted for a partial year is not gonna be that difficult for us. If we have to over allocate for a part of the year, we should be okay.
And we do know that there are possibly a couple long-term employees that are looking at retirement. One for sure will be retiring, I believe in November,
Yeah.
October, November.
I think they're
And-
off now, or just gonna be off here very soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, they officially retire in October, I believe. The other thing I want to point out to the commission and to the public, but more so for the public, is, you know, the entire amount of ad valorem tax that we have for our general fund, and that's what we're primarily talking about this evening, is $3.3 million. When you look at this police department's budget's 6.3 million of that 3.3, so they're already twice as much as what we receive in property taxes for our general fund portion. So it's just something that I do like pointing out every year when we do talk about property tax revenues and how that does compare to the general fund mill levy. Overall, we're requesting 8.3 million, and 6.3 million of that is the police department, and the remainder of that's basically the fire department. So
When's the last time you've done a salary survey on PD and fire?
we did that 3 years ago is when we did it, and so we are still continuing to follow that, and we'll take a look at it probably another year or two and make sure that we're still where we need to be in regards to the salary and benefits. One thing that we've done with the department is that we did do a retention bonus in that department, where it's $10,000 if they stay for 4-year commitment, is it 5?
4 or 5, I can't
It
remember.
might be 5 years. I think it's
How
4
many?
years. It's 4 years.
years.
It's $2,500 a year for 4 years. So basically, if they sign with us and say that they will stay for 4 years, we'll give them 10,000. If they happen to cut short, they have to pay us back that piece. But honestly, that's been a really good retention tool for the police department. And something we've been thinking about doing maybe for some other specialized positions, just to retain employees a little bit longer.
So also within the police department, contractual, it did increase. One thing that has increased is our jail lodging. This is kind of there's multiple reasons for this. We have had an increase in tickets and those items, so that's gonna increase the number of, the amount that we have to pay the jail due to the increase in the number of inmates. And then the other thing that really can affect our budget is the billing that we receive from the jail. We do not always receive it in a timely manner, so we may only receive it 3 times a year. So it's not always, we don't always end up with 12 months in a year, which can really mess with the budget numbers.
How do you reconcile that then? I
Um,
mean, it's difficult, right?
Right, so, the municipal court girls, they, they go through the bill and make sure that each inmate that we've been billed for is actually a municipal court, on a municipal court charge. So, yeah, they do that, and they still break the bill out by month, but we may receive 3 or 4 months at one time instead of, 12 times a year we get a bill. We may only receive them 3 or 4 times a year, so.
And we're still only holding somebody for certain offenses, right? Some of the offenses, they're just being booked and released, right?
That's correct.
That's still correct, right?
Yeah, they're on their own OR bonds.
OR bonds,
Yeah.
yeah.
And commodities, general supplies was, a general increase. Clothing, they did request an increase in their clothing, and that was to replace some of the, vests. And equipment and maintenance, there are some patrol cameras that need replaced. As far as capital outlay, this was, IT each year prepares a plan of what they recommend as far as computer equipment and such that needs replaced, so they are recommending replacement of 104,000, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
increasing it to
104,000.
104,000.
Yeah. And they are requesting, $7,000 to replace some office furniture. And, other capital outlay, 20,000 for repair and replacement of firearms and tasers. So, those are all, I mean, really just kind of things that they budget for just because they're not for sure as far as tasers and such when they're gonna have to send those in, and they do have a certain time frame that they have to get those recertified, so. Animal control, they did ask for an increase in capital outlay to purchase a new washing machine and dryer. And then as far as the fire, in contractual, we moved some things around. So the uniforms line item was increased by 30,000, and the clothing under commodities was decreased, and that's just, it just seemed like each year it was getting coded to uniforms instead of clothing, so we just made that change. So it's not really an increase, it's just whether it's falling under commodities or contractual, so. Travel was increased, and that, it's just a general increase in cost to be able to send as many employees as they can to trainings and such. And
So on the salary side, it did increase from 2.6 million to almost 2.9 million. Merit and COLA are included in there, but I think the biggest thing in regards to that is, I think the fire department has one open position right now, and I think they're in the process of, I think they have several candidates that are in line to potentially get that position. So they're in that testing phase, I believe, with that. So they're gonna be full, which is something that we haven't been full in 5-6 years,
Yes,
or even longer than that.
yeah, it's been a long time since we had 8 on every shift.
Yeah. So we definitely are happy that this is a good problem for us, because like I said, we haven't been full for a long time. And with the growth of our community, being able to have 8 individuals on each staff, or on each shift, is definitely a safety issue for us. So we are happy that we're able to get closer to that goal.
And you're budgeting for new turnout gear in this budget too?
That's
We're
part of that
continuing to do
clothing,
that.
uniform. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we try to, you wanna come up, Bradley? How many sets of gear, turnout gear, are we trying to replace? Cause we got that in a rotation now, that we do so many sets a year.
Yeah, we do 3 to 5 every year, so each of us got 2 sets the last couple of years. So we still got our old stuff in there, like, yeah, expire. So 3 to 5 every year, that comes out of that 37, and then our day-to-day uniforms come out of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then air packs, we look at air packs
Yeah,
as
and we're
well.
spacing those out too. I mean, we got a bunch the last couple of years, but we're trying to, instead of so much at one time, breaking it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're continuing to
Yeah.
do that in smaller bites instead of,
Not such a
Yeah.
big.
One item that we're gonna have is we need to get a new pumper truck. The problem with the pumpers now, it's $1 million minimum for a pumper truck. The difficulty with that too is with the cash basis type of accounting that we have, we incur that $1 million hit
the
the
day you
time that
sign
we
the contract.
approve it. It could be 3 years before we get that pumper truck from the time that we purchase it. So we'll have that $1 million expenditure where we don't have any equipment to show for that expenditure. So that's something we have to keep in the back of our mind as we're purchasing something, because that is a pretty significant hit when you're looking at your cash side of things, and not getting the benefit of it.
Are they leasing those where it could be a purchase lease thing? Where you didn't have to take
You
the
could
hit
do
on
a
it?
lease purchase with a bank, you just have to get them to do it, but it's not, it probably could work out okay if you did it that way. We've started doing lease purchases with a lot of our specialized equipment, like with our track hose and our, like our mini excavators and those sort of things.
a lot of our
Our,
Bobcats.
yeah, Bobcats and like the mowers and all that. We started going lease purchase just for the fact that we can get equipment, we don't have to repair it as much, it's usually covered by warranty. Fire department, it'd be a lease purchase, because I think that's what we did,
We did that
For
with
the
the
pumper.
ladder truck.
ladder truck.
The ladder truck, so.
Yeah, the crazy part, the ladder truck was 1.3 or 1.5 million.
So, yeah.
Now it's almost 3 million for a ladder truck. When it comes time to replace that, so it's
Yeah, and
getting ridiculous.
even if we do a lease purchase, you're still gonna have that expense sitting on your books when it's approved, because normally we don't do the lease purchase until we know, closer to when we're gonna receive it, because otherwise we're paying interest on something that we don't even have. So, but,
And then where are we on fire station number 2? I know, I see in here we have 40,000. Is that,
We're in limbo on 2. We're gonna just, we don't have the funds right now to even start looking at it. We've talked about looking at design for next year, which would try to take us 6 to 8 months minimum just to design out the facility. We are in conversations with the county as well to look at some sort of partnership to make it a combined fire EMS type station where we could potentially, our goal is that, my goal, which I think is a shared goal, but it hasn't really been expressly stated, is to have an ambulance in every station that we have. So that way our response times go down. We're not relying as much on our personnel and our, pumper trucks and our equipment to respond. And hopefully it does shorten the response times as well. So something we are working towards. And I think there's also a possibility that we can utilize a portion of that south station for the police department as well.
Chief, the pumper that you're wanting to replace, how long do we have certification on that for?
The one we're replacing is a 2012. 2013, those two Pierces we bought then. 411 was purchased last year, we replaced one. And the worst of the two, which is actually the 2013, we're going to replace the 2012 Pierce. And it's still it's our first out truck up north. And but I mean, I
Are
don't.
you gonna be able to maintain insurance certification on that one so we can keep our insurance?
As far as I know, I mean, we get them certified through the state. I mean, we get a DOT inspection and goes to the state. So I mean, this year we had everything passed. We had to do some maintenance on our backup 418, but it's passed too. So I mean, so yeah, we're looking fine with that from what my understanding is.
And the new pumper's first out on second, the second station?
Yep, 411 down south. Yep.
Okay. As far as training fees, those kind of vary from year to year, and a lot of that depends on how many new firefighters that are hired and what certifications they already come into the job with. That's correct, right,
Yep.
Chief? Okay. As far as contractual, that we talked about that was just the $30,000 for clothing. Capital outlay, there was a request for an increase of $13,000 to outfit the classroom, get some new, just chairs and tables, and I think a lot of their stuff right now is mismatched
It's
hand-me-downs.
mixed match. We got some of it from the community college over the years. We just haven't really had nothing new for a long time.
Yeah, we were able to this year is we added a secondary bunk room for female bunk room out there, which I think we're wrapping up.
We're pretty close.
We're pretty darn close, but so that way it has separate living quarters from the main area. And then also we've tasked them, and I think they've ordered new bunks and for all the firefighters. So they have new Murphy beds, I believe is what we're going with. So that way they have more space and have some storage room in there as well. And then we replaced the heaters this year as well, or was that the end of last year? I'm trying to remember.
That was last year, the heaters.
Yeah, and because
they
we
did
used to have the old radiant gas heaters.
Up top.
Yep, and now we got the forced air heaters, and honestly, it'll burn you out if you
They're big.
let them run too long. So it's definitely a big change for them.
Did the roof painting?
Yeah.
Yeah, the roof's the roof's red. Then they painted the trim. They've worked on the doors, the interior doors up at the North Station, new windows at the North Station. Yeah, it's looking pretty good up there. Like I said, finish up the bunk room. And then little, like some minor things. Like when they replaced the doors, they broke some tiles. So they're fixing that stuff. They were there a couple weeks ago. So, but overall, yeah, the big stuff's taken care of.
So I think that's pretty much all the increases or changes for fire. Municipal court, salaries did increase just a little bit, but that's due to the merit and COLA. Contractual for municipal court, this did increase, 40,000. That was due to, I believe in 2025, we did increase the municipal judges contract, which had not been increased in quite a while. We do have one of the employees that is working on her bachelor's degrees. So there was a little bit of increase in that for tuition reimbursement and a small increase due to postage. So the next one is Public Works, and this is primarily the streets department is what is paid out of this Public Works. A slight increase in salaries, and then contractual, there was an increase due to vehicle repair and maintenance. And kind of the same with commodities, and those are just due to the general increases in prices of parts and such that the fleet guys are using on their vehicles. Engineering, this budget did, as far as salaries, did decrease some, and that is due to a retirement just this last week. And kind of some restructuring of some of the positions in that department, so.
And something we gotta think about too is, Ray will be retiring at the end of this year, so it's something that we're gonna have to, Tanner's gonna be taking over the role of director, so we are still in the process of trying to find a city engineer, to cover that position, but we are definitely gonna miss Ray being around.
And then the GIS, we have
Yeah, we have GIS, we've had
GIS open.
one application for GIS, nothing for city engineer. And that's been out for probably 2 months.
6
6
weeks
weeks?
at least.
More than that.
See, I don't know.
Oh, you had one for, not for city engineer. Oh,
Project
you did?
manager. Oh,
Oh, you did today? We'll see. Today they had one.
and as far as the contractual and commodities, they're just pretty much general increases, and then capital outlay. There was an increase, and that's just for computers and replacement of computers and equipment. Airport salary increases were just due to the merit, the COLA. And then even in contractual and commodities, a lot of these increases are just due to the terminal remodel and expansion. Kind of everything was finalized, and so we kind of have a little bit better idea now of what utilities and janitorial and office supplies and those things will increase a little bit due to the increased size of the terminal. Cemetery, as far as salaries, it was just the general increases. Contractual, vehicle repairs and maintenance, and commodities. Those are pretty much just due to the general price increases. Parks, there is a new maintenance worker 1 position that is included in the budget. And this is kind of due to the downtown area and the addition of, for the streetscape, to have another maintenance worker to be able to help maintain those areas. And contractuals and commodities, those where, pretty much, again, just the general increases in items. Golf course, it's a very slight increase, but, in the prior year, it was, there was a position that was included twice. It was our clubhouse attendant position, so it wasn't a major deal, but the merit and COLA raises are still included, but, it was kind of offset due to that position being included twice in the prior year. And as far as contractual, there is some building repairs and maintenance that is anticipated, so was a $5,000 increase there. And then as far as commodities, those are pretty much just general increases. One thing I will note is beverages under concessions. This was an increase, and at the beginning of 2025, the Pro Shop took over the beer sales for the golf course, so that there was an increase for that. And then the Pro Shop merchandise, there is an increase because even, our cost is increasing on the inventory that we have to have, but at the same time, the revenues will increase by the same amount for that, so. Hennessy Hall, really just general increases, a couple small increases there. Development services, salaries, those are just the merit and COLA. As far as contractual, for dues and subscriptions, there was an increase in that due to subscriptions for the code books have increased. And that is for development services, that's about it. As far as computer upgrades, IT has requested just some general computer upgrades, and then the appropriation to communications, the request from the county was for $933,000, which was a little bit less than what was requested for 2026, so.
I think just in general on the computer upgrades that the commission needs to be aware of is just the cost of computers have just skyrocketed for anything that's technical related or electronic in that area is just, the prices have just exploded over the last 2 years.
Any servers or?
Yeah, servers or even just regular laptop computer. There's been several laptops that we haven't been able to get as high, or our normal laptop, we've had to go with a lesser model just because the chips and everything else are just so expensive. Like a laptop that we were buying for $1,500 is easily $3,000 now, if not $5,000. I think we ran that in with engineering not too long ago with one laptop that they were looking at.
Yeah. So that is pretty much all for the general fund.
I think what we'll do is with the CIP, we'll let you guys take a look at it and come back, and for our next study session, we can kind of we can go back and take a look at what we kind of just went over, let you guys digest that a little bit, take a look at the CIP, and we'll go over the CIP a little bit more in depth at our next study session. But I think just the overall tenor of the whole conversation is this is a very status quo budget. Where, like I said, there is cost of living increase and there is merit. Between the two, it is, I think cost of living right now is on schedule, like at the national level, of like 3.8%. 2.7 is less, but with our merit, that does help them stay within the ranges that they need to based upon the salary survey and all the work that we've put into it. Because one of the issues we'll run into is if we don't keep up with the merit, we don't keep up with COLA, we will have to catch up at some point. So we need to make sure we're not artificially keeping that low, because at some point it will catch up and we'll have to make significant improvements. So it's better for us to do a little bit now instead of having to do it all at once, which I think we've had to do 2 or 3 times in the last.
2021 was way worse than 2024. One thing I did forget to mention, so there is a line on here that I had included that it's a health insurance transfer reduction of $208,000. Our health insurance fund currently is doing very good. And even our renewal that we'll have in October, I received some preliminary reports. Our expenses this year have been not very low, but lower than projected. So I really think we would be fine to take that reduction in transfer to our health insurance fund, and we'll still have plenty of cash available in that fund.
Yeah, I think we've had some really good years in regards to the health insurance fund, and it is pretty healthy right now. And as Nicole was stating, it does look like our renewal will be flat, if not a decrease for next year.
And the other funds here, I can just kind of go through those. Bond and interest, there's not really any major changes there. The special assessments, those listed those are just the transfers from the RHID fund for payments on the bonds that were used to finance the RHID projects. And then the expenses are the principal and interest payments on any existing debt we have, and then any anticipated bonds that would be issued in '26. For library and library employee benefits, those 2 funds, what is included in the budget currently is the same exact amount as what they received in the prior year. So, and that, the budget that they submitted to me, that's what they had submitted, so. Capital improvement, like we said, we'll discuss that more in depth prior to the next meeting. So the special liability fund, that's a fund that pays for property and liability insurance, work comp insurance. Our property and liability rates have really kind of leveled out and stayed pretty flat, and our work comp rates have decreased due to our mod rate decreasing, which is due to less claims and less major claims for our work comp. So
I think one thing we need to just let the commission know in regards to the property and liability insurance, prior to, well, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we were paying basically, well, we would submit every claim regardless of how much it was. Even if it was a $500 claim, we were submitting it to insurance for them to review. And we got to the point where if we knew that we were at fault and it was a small claim, we paid it rather than having to go to our insurance and get dinged. Because one of the things that we find, and you'll see with insurance, is the more claims you have, the higher your premiums are, regardless of how large of a claim it was. So we've substantially reduced the number of claims we've had on both the work comp side and the property claim side of it, just because we've just evaluated and make the determination, is it better to just pay those smaller amounts out that we know that we're at fault? And if we know we're not at fault, then of course we run those through. But there are some minor ones that from time to time that we do take care of.
Also included is the capital improvement. So I think for the next study session, we will concentrate more on the capital improvement improvement, the municipal equipment, which, I will get sent out to you guys, and then the utility funds. So, I think these are probably the major ones that we have left. So, the revenue neutral rate hearing, we will be required to have that on September 7th. We can hold the budget hearing on that same date, or it can be held on a different date. So,
I think as of right now, our intention is to do it on the same date.
and we can go ahead and submit the notice for the revenue neutral rate hearing, unless there are any major changes that you guys would like see to be made. Because once we do submit that, of course, we can't go above the 35.667 mills currently. That's what I would anticipate that we would publish.
As of right now, that is what we will publish unless unless the commission identifies some areas that they want to make some adjustments prior to us doing so. But we plan on doing that in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I would like to get the revenue neutral rate for sure published as soon as we can, just due to some mistakes with the paper that have been made in prior years. If there's any questions, comments, I would be happy to take those.
How long you guys been working on this budget?
We probably started,
We started meeting with the department heads in
probably February, March.
mid-March, April.
Yeah.
Well, me personally, I'd like a little more time to kind of digest it. I mean, you lay it out on us a week ago, you sent an email out or whatever. So I mean, I would like an opportunity to kind of go through it and ask some questions to staff, and that's just my personal opinion. Granted, it doesn't look like, we're raising the mill levy much. I mean, we're gonna put out that we are, but if you go back from year to year, it seems like we always become in under the mill levy that we had set out, so. That's just me.
Other comments to Nicole? Seeing none, I'd seek adjournment of the work session.
So move.
Second?
Most second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you. It is Monday, August 3rd, 7 p.m., meeting number 5349. Would the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Daniel Pope,
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burns,
Here.
Commissioner Rick Sowers,
Here.
Commissioner Chuck Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Reiner, absent.
At this time, we will have invocation by Mason Smith from the First Church of God.
Let's have a word of prayer. God, thank you for giving us this time to come together as a community and discuss the various topics that need to be talked about today. And I just pray that you would guide this time, give us discernment, and help us to make the proper decisions for the benefit of our community. And I just pray that this time would be good and fruitful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. At this time, I would seek a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We have no petitions and proclamations. At this time, we have a visitors section. Limit is 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic. Final action may defer until the next city commission meeting, unless emergency situation does exist. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak tonight? Seeing none, we will close the visitors section. I would seek a motion for the consent calendar unless the commission would like to remove something.
All right, make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Up next, under ordinances and resolutions, we have ordinance number 3846 and ordinance 3847. Ordinance 3846 is an ordinance regulating traffic within the corporate limits of the city of Dodge City, Kansas, incorporating by the reference the 2026 standard traffic ordinance for Kansas cities, and repealing ordinance number 3834. Ordinance number 3847 is an ordinance regulating public offenses within the corporate limits of the city of Dodge City, Kansas, incorporating by reference the 2026 Uniform Public Offense Code for Kansas cities, and repealing ordinance number 3835. Report will be by Nicole May, Finance Director.
Mayor, Commissioners, tonight I'm asking for approval of ordinances number 3846 and 3847. These ordinances adopt the 2026 53rd edition of the Standard Traffic Ordinance and the 2026 42nd edition of the Uniform Public Offense Code. Listed in the memo are the changes that were made to these codes during the 2026 legislative session. The cost of these booklets is budgeted within each pertinent department, and the cost of each book is $9.25. The city attorney and chief of police have reviewed these and approved them, and these are ordinances that are adopted each year to update the standard traffic ordinance and the Uniform Public Offense Code. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions for Nicole?
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve ordinance number 3846 and ordinance number 3847.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Nicole. Up next, we have resolution number 2026-11 and 2026-12, approval of community development block grant. Resolution 2026-11 and 2026-12, funding application. Report by Director of Parks and Rec, Daniel Cecil.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm requesting your approval of the amendments to Resolutions 2026-11 and 2026-12, which would authorize the City of Dodge City to apply for a community development block grant to fund improvements at Thorough Park and provide assurances for its ongoing maintenance and operations. On May 18th, City held a public hearing for a CDBG grant application for Thorough Park. On June 8th, the City Commission approved Resolutions 2026-11 and 2026-12 to document the city's commitment to provide matching funds to ensure long-term maintenance for the project. During the final review of the application, CDBG staff notified city staff that the public hearing notice needed to be reissued because it listed out the cost amounts as not to exceed rather than providing exact figures. So the city issued the new public hearing notice, which was held on July 6th. And due to the changes to the public hearing, the city must also amend the previously approved CDGB grant resolutions. The estimated project cost is $1,998,239 with a CDBG grant request of $1,338,420. The city's match will be $659,818, which is a 33.02% match, making the city eligible to receive more points when the application is reviewed due to a larger match being offered. By approving the resolutions, the city is committing to finding the funds that are required to make this project happen. The amended resolutions have been reviewed by the city attorney, and if the city's application is approved, the city attorney will then review and recommend the funding agreements to the city commission for their approval. During this extra time, city staff has attended some events to continue creating public awareness. The Dodge City Days kickoff reception held on Thursday, July 23rd. City had a booth there where the public was able to view and comment on the Thorough Park project, as well as Dodge City Days Kid Fest on Sunday, August 2nd in Wright Park. The plan was also presented there, and public was allowed to present or ask questions at that time as well. Staff has received positive feedback on this project, and the response that we have received, or staff has received, community sees this as a need, a high priority, and they'd like to see the opportunity for other outdoor recreational opportunities come to the community. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Daniel?
How was your Kids Fest deal? You had quite a few people comment on this project?
We had 434 people stop by the booth. We had very good reception. There was 1,249 people that attended the event, so I mean, we had almost a third of them stop by and see us, so
Excellent.
feel very positive about that.
Are there any other comments?
Gonna
or
make a
questions?
motion that we adopt resolution number 2026-11 and 2026-12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Next up is resolution number 2026-17, a resolution of the governing body of the city of Dodge City, Kansas, determining that the city is considering establishing a reinhousement incentive district within the city and adopting a plan for the development of housing and public facilities in such proposed district, establishing the date and time of a public hearing on such matter, and providing for the giving of notice of such public hearing of Iron Flats 2. Report by Molly Leitner.
Thank you for your time, Mayor and Commissioners. Resolution 2026-17 would establish the date and time for a public hearing for the Reinvestment Housing Incentive District for Iron Flats 2. The public hearing date would be September 7th. Iron Flats 2 is 21 single-family homes, 3-bed, 2-bath with garages, very similar to the rest of the homes that Volts Builders has built in the neighborhood. And they'd be estimated appraisal value at $260,000. This is the second step in the RHID process. It doesn't start the time clock or have any financial consideration at this time. That would be held with an ordinance after the public hearing.
Are there any questions for Molly?
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 2026-17.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. We have no unfinished business. Up first under new business is approval of a bid of a Toro Procore SR70 aerifier for Mariah Hills Golf Course. Report by Parks and Rec Director Daniel Cecil.
Mayor and Commissioners, tonight I'm requesting your approval of a bid from Professional Turf Products for a Toro Procore SR70 aerifier in the amount of $34,639.46. Mariah Hills Golf Course experienced a major mechanical failure with their existing aerifier, a 1996 Southern Greens deep tine aerifier. One of the main shafts became completely stripped and the retaining nut that secures all the tine arms broke off. This company is no longer in business and there's no replacement parts for it, so the machine is now inoperable. Staff went and received 2 quotes from vendors to replace the aerifier. Professional Turf Products submitted the low bid for a Toro Procore SR70 aerifier. The SR70 is a 73-inch aerifier capable of both solid and coring tine applications and is compatible with our John Deere 4066R tractor. The unit features a Category 1 and 2 3-point hitch for quick attachment, precision-aligned crankshaft, heavy-duty design, oversized gearbox, heavy-duty bearings, crank arms, and everything needed to perform its job in difficult soil conditions. On July 14th, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board reviewed this purchase and recommended its approval. This purchase was originally planned for 2028, as staff anticipated this aerifier would remain serviceable for a few more years. And due to the unexpected equipment failure, staff is now recommending the purchase of this aerifier in 2026. The funding would be reallocated from a 2026 UTV and sprayer replacement that was budgeted and had $70,000 available for that purchase. Those equipment purchases would be deferred to another year, and that would allow sufficient funding to be available to make the purchase of this aerifier. I believe you have the quotes and descriptions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Daniel? I'm going to assume at least that you'll be able to get by with your sprayer and stuff that you have.
Yeah, it's still running fine. It's just older. That was the biggest thing, was trying to get it in a replacement plan, but it should function for a while for us.
Okay.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the bid from Professional Turf Products for a Toro Procore SR70 in the amount of $34,639.46.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Up next is approve and authorize the signature of grant agreement number 528-26 for hangar construction and grant agreement number 529-26 for fuel storage system replacement. Report by Corey Keller, Public Works Director.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, here tonight to ask for authorization to accept 2 grant agreements from Kansas Department of Transportation, KDOT Division of Aviation, under the Kansas Airport Improvement Program for critical infrastructure improvements at the Dodge City Regional Airport. This would authorize Nick to sign the grant agreements number 528-26, project number AV-2027-10 for hangar construction, and a grant agreement number 529-26, project number AV-2027-11 for a fuel storage replacement. The city submitted applications for these projects to enhance operation and capacity and safety at the airport. The the hangar construction. Current hangar availability is nearing capacity. We received letters of support for this hangar from Apollo Med Flight and Crotts Aircraft Services, emphasizing additional space and essential for critical air medical transportation services and to accommodate corporate and private aircraft that are currently being turned away due to lack of space. The fuel replacement storage system. This project involves replacing the existing underground storage tanks with new above-ground double-wall tanks, one 20,000 gallon Jet A tank and one 12,000 gallon avgas tank. Transitioning to above-ground tanks will simplify required inspections, maintenance, while reducing the risk of undetected environmental leaks. Our current underground storage tanks are over 30 years old. The grant agreement establishes the following funding commitments for the participating costs of these projects. The grant we submitted for the new hangar construction was $1,087,680, and these are engineers' estimates. So that grant is a 50% max, $500,000. The city local match would be $587,680. And then for the fuel storage replacement, the engineer's estimate was $2,369,000. The grant emphasized 32% max of $800,000, which would be a local match of $1,569,000. I did reach out to KDOT about this grant because of the 32% max. Originally, we applied for the grant. It was a 50% max, just asking the question. We do believe that, building the storage facility for this will be much cheaper than the 2.3 million part of it. So,
Just to give you an idea, our fuel storage tanks that we put out there at the MSB, we had one 24,000 gallon tank, and which was split into two 12,000s, and then a 6,000 gallon tank, and I think that total cost was $240,000. So I mean, you're substantially different, and those are double line tanks, and it won't be a big difference between what we're looking at here. So honestly, I think even with concrete work and taking care of the old tanks and everything, we'll probably be around $500,000, be my rough guesstimate.
but what I do want to emphasize is, that they'll be willing to pay 50% of whatever that is, and that was the original grant we applied for. Per the agreements, the city are responsible for 100% of the project's costs once the secretary's maximum funding limit is reached. Some of the grant assurance and obligations, by accepting these funds, the city agrees to several conditions, including project timeline. The city must make reasonable efforts to start the project within 1 year of the effective date. The useful life, the improvements carry a 10-year useful life period, during which the airport must maintain open for public use. And then maintenance, the city is responsible for all maintenance and sustainment of these improvements throughout the duration of the grant assurances. Paige has already reviewed the grant agreements and did not have any issues with the agreements. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So you just add on to some hangars, or you got a new pad or new spot where you want to put hangars, or you can't put hangars, or?
What we submitted for was a 120 by 120 hangar that would go just north of the existing hangar. What we've had discussions about is kind of adding on to the existing hangar to give us a little more space, filling in that area between the ARF building and the existing newest hangar, which was built in 2013. The fuel storage, we're looking at relocating from its current position. Not quite sure where we will relocate it at this point in time. Working with Crotts and other on the airport to figure out where a good location for these tanks were. Currently, it's directly behind the FBO, which sits between National Weather Service and the FBO, which really isn't a good place for a fuel storage.
And I don't know, Corey, you might take a look at putting some kind of shade over them tanks too, once you find a spot, or if they'll even allow you to. Just
Yeah.
a thought.
Where do you fund the R-Match side from?
It is included in the CIP funds for next year. Mhm.
Any other questions or comments?
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve and authorize the signature of grant agreement number 528-26, project number AV 2027-10 for hangar construction, and grant agreement number 529-26, project number AV 2027-11 for the fuel storage system replacement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries
Thank you.
4-0. Thank you, Corey. Up next, we have approve the budget estimate for the wider gateway improvements, report by Tanner Richmond, City Engineer.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm presenting the budget estimate from Building Solutions to construct the Wyatt Earp Statue Gateway Improvement Project. In June of 2026, City Commission approved an amendment to the Heritage Star Bond project plan, which this Wyatt Earp Statue Gateway improvement is included in that project plan. I know you guys are familiar with the concept of the Wyatt Earp Statue Gateway. It's been in many of our project presentations to you, but that's as you can see in the concept, that's one that LK Architecture put together, that rendering, and city staff took that rendering and developed a final plan and project quantities to develop an estimate for construction for that project. So we worked with Building Solutions when we were developing the project plan for the expanded STAR bonds, and this estimate from them is what we're presenting. The estimate they provided for that project plan is what I'm presenting here tonight. As you can see, the gateway will mimic the west end of the downtown, there in front of Boot Hill and Front Street, with the second steel archway that says Boot Hill, and it will mirror what that gateway structure looks like. So it'll provide a nice bookend to the downtown streetscape project down on the east end, and bring the Wyatt Earp statue up to the same quality and character that has been established with the rest of the downtown streetscape. But with that being said, it is staff's recommendation to approve the budget estimate from Building Solutions in the amount of $370,756.96. And that is a not-to-exceed price for this construction project. And it will be the first project to move forward in the new project plan for the expanded STAR bonds. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Did we get all the medallions sent off? I know we approved that.
I don't know.
Hi, Assistant City Manager Melissa McCoy. We are working with the original artist, Janet Sobel, and she is working with the Foundry, and so we are waiting on some final plans to come from her so that we can get those sent off. And the majority of the medallions will be able to be restored, and there's only a handful of them that will need to be replaced.
Tanner, when's Building Solutions plan to get started, and what's their work time?
I do not know the exact length of time it's going to take for construction, but I believe they want to start sometime in September. They want to give construction activities a rest down there for about a month or so, and then start up sometime in December or September.
They're not taking any parking spots away from that
No,
parking
no.
lot. Okay, good.
Nope. Parking lot's staying the way it is. But also, there's some work that has to take place in there before they can really even start working on this gateway in terms of Victory's vault there, that will need to be removed and coordinated.
Any other questions for Tanner? If not, I'll make the motion to approve and recommend Building Solutions to redo the White Earp Gateway for improvements in an amount not to exceed $370,756.96, including a 12% owner contingency, and authorizing staff to proceed using Star Bond project funds.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Tanner. Up next, we have approve the letter agreement for professional services to conduct a discovery phase for the South Wastewater Recycling Facility, influent irrigation expansion. Report by Ray Slattery, Director of Engineering Services.
Mayor and Commissioners, tonight I'm asking you to approve the letter agreement for professional services with Olson in the amount of $388,820 to perform the discovery phase for the South Wastewater Recycling Facility effluent irrigation expansion project, pending final review by the city attorney. For some time now, there's been discussions about expanding the irrigation system at the South Wastewater Recycling Facility. Over the years, the flow to the South plant has increased. This increase has in turn required additional water to be placed on the current ground under irrigation. In 2021, Hillmar Cheese announced it would be building a new facility in Dodge City. The Hillmar facility would add approximately 1.5 million gallons a day of effluent to the South plant. This added flow meant the current existing irrigation system would need to be expanded, or use of the treated effluent for other beneficial uses investigated. Other opportunities were being looked at, one of which is the managed aquifer recharge, and that is still being considered. However, between the initial exploration on how to utilize the additional flow and the final decision being made, the wastewater irrigation contract with Nicholson Ventures came up for renewal. During the negotiations, Nicholson Ventures indicated they wanted all the additional effluent for crop irrigation and needed to have additional land placed under irrigation to do so. In April of this year, the city posted an RFQ, or a request for qualifications, for the design build team to provide design and construction services for the proposed wastewater recycling facility effluent irrigation expansion project. We received 3 responses to the RFQ. City staff, Jacobs, and Nicholson Ventures reviewed the submittals and scored these responses using specified criteria. The design build team of MJE and Olson received the highest score from the selection committee. This discovery phase will include the gathering of information necessary for the design of the irrigation system expansion, which will include surveying of the new and existing pivot locations and elevations to determine head loss and water flow capabilities, conceptual routing of the new irrigation lines, creation of all necessary easements, modeling of the existing system and the proposed new system, which will be the biggest part of this phase of work. That will include, the new system will include the new irrigation lines and a new pump station. Coordination with MJE will also be done to ensure the construction can be done as efficiently as possible. After the discovery phase is complete, we'll be bringing a supplement agreement to you for approval for the final design and construction of the irrigation expansion. This project will be funded from the wastewater fund, and the final design and construction is budgeted in the 2027-2028 CIP. With that, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Ray on this item?
Your Honor, I've moved to approve a letter of agreement with professional service with Olson in the amount of $388,820 to perform discovery phase for the South Wastewater Recycling Facility effluent irrigation expansion pending final review of city attorney.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Up next is the approve the extension of the contract package with STX Commodities LLC. Report by Tanner Richmond, City Engineer.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm presenting for your consideration a new NASB-based contract, special provisions, and transaction confirmation with STX Commodities for the continued sale and marketing of our environmental attributes associated with the city's industrial renewable natural gas. The proposed delivery period is from September 1st of this year through December 31st of 2028, so about 28 months. The city currently has a contract with STX and has had a contract with them since September 1 of 2023. And under that contract, the city was getting $19 in MMBTU to start, with an annual 1.5% escalation in that price. Currently has no minimum daily obligations to deliver natural gas RNG. So if we don't produce any gas, we're not penalized in a day, or during a week, we don't get penalized by them by not achieving a minimum volume. But we also have a minimum CI score of 14. So any CI score above 14, we would have to take a hit and get a reduced sale price on that RNG. So I provided a graphic here to compare the contract terms. Since the 2023 contract with them, the RNG market has come off quite a bit, so prices aren't where they were. What they are proposing in this new contract is to have a base of 100,000 MMBTUs a year at a fixed price, which right now in our current production is about 50% of what we're producing. So there's no issues on achieving that volume. And the reason is they have an off-taker under contract that's all they can take right now. But they feel that with this hybrid setup with our agreement, that there is potential for us to achieve some benefit on the upside if the market starts to rise again. And we believe there is still strong upside with the market. Now, as part of that, they would request a 10% cut on any sales above that 100,000 MMBTU. So the first 8,300 MMBTU of gas we produce each month is at that base 1550 rate, and then anything above that, we would get 80% of the sale price, and they get 10%, and our World Connect gets their 10%. So they have skin in the game to try to get as much value or as high a price as they can for that RNG. Like I said, this is a 28-month agreement or contract, and I mentioned there's strong upside, and part of that is because our industrial RNG qualifies under a double counting scheme in the UK for renewable fuels. So if they're able to locate an off-taker or an end user in that UK market, they could get strong value out of the gas. And on this graphic, I put a comparison of where we would need to get in terms of that above the 100,000 MMBTU sale price to kind of get close to where we are currently with our $19.57 in MMBTU, which we would need to get up to almost $24.50 in MMBTU to get close to that. But we're kind of at the mercy of what the market's done over the past few years. And our marketer, World Connect, had put out feelers to see what other options we could have and what they might offer, and nobody was even up at the $15.50. They were down closer to $12 and $14 when they reached out to see what some other sellers were getting for their RNG in terms of our environmental attributes. So the $15.50 is still strong for a fixed price for us. So I would say, in terms of that hybrid structure, it is attractive in the softer market, and it protects us still having that portion at that fixed price, knowing that we're going to get that value. And one thing I didn't put in here is we're not going to make them let us know what their selling price is unless the sale price gets down to $14 an MMBTU. If it's down that low, we want them to have a call with us to talk to us about why it's so low, and maybe we hold off on selling, because it's set up, we don't have to sell every month. If the market's down far enough and we think that we could hold off a month or two without selling to wait for the market to try to come back up, we have that option in this contract. The only thing that we're required to sell every month is that 8,333 MMBTU. But we do have an option to hold off and see what the market's doing to wait for a better sale price.
How much
if
can
we
you
want to.
store? How many days can you store?
You can store it as long as you want to, as long as you want to pay for storage.
What's storage? How much
It's-
is storage?
I don't know. That's something we work with our marketer on to determine if it's worth it to wait, and then what that potential cost of storage would be. But we also feel like the 28 months ending the calendar year of 2028 with this contract, it sets us up in a good position. That time frame does to look for a new, or go out for an RFP for a new off-taker around that time period. City attorney and our marketer, World Connect, with their legal, Gordon, has looked at at these agreements, and we've gone over with them, and they feel it's a strong option for us for the next 28 months, and it is staff's recommendation to approve these updated, or this extension with SDX Commodities for the next 28 months. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Tanner? I guess the only thing I'd have is, are we up and running 100% now?
Yeah, we've been averaging just over 700 MMBTU a day, like we have for the last few months. Like we're selling over 20,000 MMBTU a month. We're producing pretty good without the municipal gas. So I think we're looking really good. There's some unknowns still with the industrial stream, and once we switch National Beef over to the new digester, we don't know how long that's going to take to get that digester really up and producing a lot of gas. It takes a while for those digesters to really get seeded and really get those bugs active in there. So there's some unknowns there, but we feel like once it is up and running, we are going to be producing quite a bit of industrial gas.
Is there any opportunity to do a shorter agreement?
I don't know if there's much upside in it, especially if there is a swing in the market and we're able to capture with the additional above the 100,000 MMBTU, able to capture that upswing in the market. I feel like this puts us in a good position to capture that. And it would only be about 33% or a little more than 33% of the gas we produce on the industrial side, that 100,000 once the new digester is up and running. I think they like the 28 months because that off-taker that they have identified, I think that's tied to their off-taker's contract and the length of that contract with them. But also, I like the end of the year, the contract ending on the end of the year too, because we do our annual recertification audits, and our certifications are good for the calendar year. So ending our contract on the calendar year lines up well with that too. I guess I would mention too, our current contract with them is up at the end of this month, on the 31st. So if you wanted me to broach the subject with them, I could, and we could bring it back the next meeting.
Any other questions for Tanner? Any action on this item?
Here, I make a motion that we approve the new NAESB base contract with STX Commodities LLC for continued sale and marketing of our environmental attributes, RNG.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Tanner. We have no other business, so we'll move on to staff reports. Nick?
The police chief asked me to share a couple success stories in regards to the flock camera system. Over the last couple weeks, there was a 1097 reported, whatever that is, at a gas station on 14th and White Herb. The reporting party witnessed a male chasing a female around and grabbing her, found the vehicle's plate on flock and located the individual. Suspect was arrested for DUI, domestic battery, criminal straight, and some traffic incidents. And then also last week, had an individual report their vehicle stolen. The vehicle was located through Flock within 10 minutes of the report being made. The driver bailed out when officers attempted to stop him, and he was arrested and taken into juvenile intake. So those are two of the items that have been shared with me by the police chief in regards to the Flock camera system. And I don't have anything else to report at this time.
Thanks, Nick. Nicole?
We will have another budget work session prior to the next meeting, and I will get that information out to you by the end of this week.
Paige? Melissa? Connie? Anybody else? All right, seeing none.
I move that the city commission recess into executive session pursuant to the exception found in KSA 75-4319B2. The justification for closing the meeting is to consult with an attorney on matters deemed privileged to the client-attorney relationship. The open meeting will resume in the city commission chamber in 20 minutes at 8:05 p.m. The meeting will include all present commissioners, City Attorney Paige Gilmore, Director of Engineering Ray Slattery, City Engineer Tanner Rutschman, Ben Burton with SMH Consultants, and City Manager Nick Hernandez. The commission will not take action upon returning to open session and prior to adjournment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. We are in executive session.